Well, I guess it's a weekly tradition now. Every time we have a Thursday show, it seems like A&M drops a new uniform announcement just in time for us to get a little glimpse before the show. I love it. Why not build a little buzz? Why not do what the players like? Why not have a little fun and mix things up? They're not reinventing the wheel. They're keeping it classic, but they're mixing it up. Just wait until the LSU game. I thought that Stranger Things reveal might be a little bit more appropriate for the Halloween game, which is the LSU game, the likely game that A&M will be wearing their new black uniforms. I'm hyped in either way, man. This game is always fun. It's the last one in Jerry World. It's a rivalry. It's always crazy. And final thoughts? I'm nervous, man. I'm nervous. I don't think A&M has instilled that confidence that we can go out and beat a sloppy but good team. You know, you would hope that A&M at this point would be able to go take care of business against a team that's still also figuring things out. But no, A&M is still figuring things out in their own right. And Arkansas has a lot of good stuff going on, man. So if you talk to some piggies out there, you talk to the Arkansas faithful, the WPS crew, as they always initial their comments on this channel, which I welcome. They think they're going to win by a couple scores. At least a lot of them do. Some think it's going to be that close game as usual. But they're feeling really good. That team really could be 4-0 right now. I don't know how many of you watched that Oklahoma State game, but it was just a story of mistakes for them. Outside of that, the offense is coming on. They probably had their best moment in the end of that Auburn game where they went on like a 6-minute sustained drive to close that game out. Taylor Green is something. I mean, he's something. You know, sometimes he's not the best, but in the same breath, he's good. I mean, you can never relax against a player like that. He's the kind of quarterback that, you know, you circle 10 times on your game plan because he can really just make you pay if you're not disciplined. Do we trust the Aggie defense to go out and be disciplined? I trust them to improve. I trust Elko to get more out of this team every week. And like we talked about last show, success, improvement, it's not always linear. We're just hoping to turn the page and get to that next level of Aggie football that we think we can see here. I made this point in my last video, the Arkansas preview video if you haven't checked it out, talking about that back seven. A lot of time, especially on this channel, early this week coming out of that Bowling Green game, was spent talking about that back seven, how they kind of struggled with some play recognition, maybe some discipline at times, maybe getting off of blocks, busts. You got to realize that that is very much a new group together and in a new system. So the new system aspect, players like Bryce Anderson and Torin York, new terminology, learning when and where they're supposed to be, that's all there. But on top of that, this is a group that's rebuilt in the portal and or also features some players that are stepping into their first college action like Damian Sanford and Dalton Brooks, guys that were here before and played sporadically before, but are now being asked to do game-winning things on a consistent basis. Then you throw in the transfers. Will Lee, good player, but from somewhere else. Marcus Radcliffe, good player, but from somewhere else, and also jumping massively in competition from San Diego State to here. Des Ricks, double whammy, first college action and a transfer. A bunch of players, Jaden Hill, a bunch of players coming together, man, and they looked at versus Bowling Green at times, and it wasn't all bad. They had good moments in the game. They started the game pretty strong, but down the stretch we saw it break down, and now Arkansas is the kind of offense that will have a steady heartbeat of running the ball, but will use play action or test you in ways deep that maybe Bowling Green took advantage of at times. So I think this game, the number one key to the game is getting better play out of that back seven, and then close behind that is probably getting better quarterback play. Keep it clean. Also become maybe a little bit more courageous with your throws. Dial it in. Get more comfortable in the pocket. Progress through your reads for Marcel Reed. It's a team that can make you pay, man, and I have a feeling it's going to be a really close game, and I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say about it because that's what today's show is all about. This is the preview show, the pregame show. It's going to be a shorter show tonight because I actually have a hard out today. I'm actually starting my journey to Jerry World tonight. I'm taking tomorrow off of work. I'm going to stay with a family member tonight who's kind of halfway to Dallas, and then I'll complete my journey tomorrow. So I'll be taking off from here. But in the meantime, if anybody wants to call in and give their score prediction, today's the day to do it. Because if you get the score prediction right, you have a chance to enter the Hall of Fame, in which we only have one entry so far. Noble nailed the score for the McNeese game, 52-10, got it on a last-second field goal. So if you call it in, you get the right score prediction, you'll be immortalized on this. go ahead and try calling in. Try your luck. I understand tonight might be a weird show because the Cowboys are playing right now. Good luck and God bless you to all of my Cowboy Aggie fans. I know that's a constant heart attack. That's constant stress. I wish you the best tonight. You're going up against Malik Neighbors, so we'll see what happens. But let's say what's up to everybody in the chat before we get into a couple more talking points, and then we're going to do phone calls. And if there are no calls tonight, which there might not be because of the Cowboys game, we'll get out of here. But we are doing calls at the beginning of the show. The call-in link is pinned in the chat. Click that to enter the waiting room. Get in here. Get in here, guys. Let's see who's in here today. Jeb, I know you're one of them Cowboys fans. It's also an Aggie diehard, man. Best of luck, my friend. This weekend is not going to be good for your, heart health. I hope you're on that medication. I hope you're in great cardiovascular shape because you're going to be tested this weekend, Jeb. He says, big game for both teams. Arkansas fans are feeling extremely confident per usual. And you know what? They were kind of on pins and needles going into the year. Sam Pittman hasn't been really doing as they had hoped. He didn't progress as they had hoped outside of that 2021 game, that 2021 season. And things kind of went downhill, but, they've started pretty well. There's a lot of hope in that program right now. A lot of stuff going on for Arkansas. They have a big opportunity against A&M this weekend. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Ted, good to see you. Don't make it too short. The Cowboys are going to lose anyways, and I'm a Cowboys fan. Just hating the Joneses. Yeah, man, we keep paying them by having this game in Jerry World, man. No more. Live from the Pines says, gig 'em. Thanks for being here, man. Play to win says, whoop. Me too, Drew. Nervous, absolutely. Nervous but excited like Alex Flo. I love this game. I both love and hate it, man. Look, it's fun to win this game. It feels so good to get the win in the split environment. A lot of trash talk in the stands for this game. Chippy stuff in this game. When you get students together in close proximity in the stands, which tends to happen every now and then, you get some fireworks. I've seen people kicked out of this game several times. I've seen people, up and leave on their own accord because they know that they're about to get kicked out. I've seen a lot of stuff. I've seen punches thrown in this game. It's going to be crazy, man. It's going to be crazy. Ben Capetillo, I'm super nervous as well. I saw the injury report. We'll talk about that in just a second, too. Cecil says, Drew, we could be 4-0, and I would have been put in the Notre Dame. If Reed would have been put in the Notre Dame game. Maybe. That's a lot of pressure for a young guy to go into a game one versus one of the best secondaries in the country. Whatever happens to Notre Dame, they still have one of the best secondaries in the country. So maybe, it's hard to say, but we could be 4-0 if things go a little bit differently. I mean, I think Arkansas has the better argument in that regard because of what happened versus Oklahoma State. They controlled that game until the end, just made mistake after mistake. But maybe that's part of the team. We will have a new center. New-ish. Fayu's played a lot this year at center. Colino Fayu, the transfer out of Utah, he's done pretty well on the year, but you're just really thin on the interior now, especially at center. I mean, I'll ask you guys this. If Fayu goes down, who goes in next at center? The depth chart will tell you it's Ashton Funk, but production on the field and what we've heard from Elko, I have a feeling it's Cam Dewberry. So what happens if you have multiple guys go down for spurts in the game? I mean, we saw last game Basantis went down with like a cramp or something or a dead leg, and Dewberry went into that left guard position. But what happens if you have two guys out now? It's kind of nerve-wracking with that. Here's the thing, though. Adam Cushing has done a tremendous job thus far with the team not skipping a beat, whichever combination of O-linemen you have out there. Excuse me. Coach Elko talked about it pretty much all camp and spring and until now, that the way they approached this O-line was not in trying to find necessarily your best five always. They were trying to find ways you could combine to make the best five given whatever they were going through. So they're ready for this. They kept flexibility within their players. I'm sure players were taught to positionally learn the playbook, if you know what I mean. Because that was a priority, because we know how injuries can stack up in this sport. And if you just have Cam Dewberry strictly only learning right guard and he can only fill in there, will you lose so much flexibility if Cam Dewberry truly is the next best interior guy you can have on the field? So what they've done is they've had it to where Cam Dewberry can play guards or center. They've had Armajri Adams coached to learn right tackle or right guard. You've had guys like Colino, TJ Shanahan learn all the interior positions. So they're ready for that. But the problem is, what happens when you start digging deeper into that bag due to injuries and you're playing guys who you've never seen before? You're playing guys who've never really seen the field before, like an Ashton Funk, who I believe he's a true freshman, right? So that is a nerve-wracking spot. So far, it's been really, really good on that front. under Adam Cushing, who's just done a tremendous job, coach of the year so far. Let's just hope they stay healthy and it's Fayu out there. Because right now, as it stands, I feel really good about the starting five. I feel really good if one guy goes down because you have Cam Dewberry, who got some looks last week, which was critical going into this week when you're another body short. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Let's take a minute to go into the injury report real quick. So the only significant new names we saw in there was TJ Shanahan, who's out. And I was able to listen to that Coach Mike Elko teleconference where he actually talked a little bit about that injury. And apparently it's not a super long-term thing. What he said was, we will reevaluate it next week. So hopefully that means that TJ Shanahan is on some sort of trajectory to return. And plus, you do have a bye week just around the corner. Hopefully get some guys back. Bryce Anderson was also on that list. Now, in positive news, on that teleconference that happened Wednesday morning, I believe, or Tuesday evening, one of the two, before the injury report came out, Elko said that Bryce would be listed as questionable. Well, Bryce ended up being listed as probable. So I think he's trending in the right direction. You're going to need him, man. He's the most experienced guy we have in that back seven, or at least in the secondary. So hopefully Bryce plays and TJ Shanahan, is back before too long because you need all the bodies you can get on that O-line. We already know how guys can go down. Shamar Stewart, absent from the list. Connor Wigman, of course, is questionable. As long as Connor's out, he's going to be listed as questionable. We're thinking it's Reed here. I think everybody here thinks it's going to be Reed. I think we pretty much know it's going to be Reed. That's about it as far as the highlights from the injury report. Tyreek Chappelle still on there, Naboo still on there. Nothing else really besides that that's too worrisome, but you're getting some injuries in key areas. You got to stay healthy on that O-line, and, that's always a scary spot. Live from the Pine says Arky is getting ahead of themselves. Maybe a little bit because things haven't been all good. They won that Auburn game off the heels of 5 turnovers, a couple of which were really good forced turnovers, but about 3 of those interceptions was just an indication of what Auburn's going through at the quarterback position. Talk about Auburn versus OU this week. That's a game where the loser is starting to feel really, really bad and raise a lot of questions. Isn't it crazy? Let's just take a minute to talk about that game because obviously OU's an old school rival and Auburn's a team we're going to play. Isn't it crazy that Hugh Freeze is already getting some hot seat talks, and that'll really heat up if he loses this game versus Oklahoma, and I think they're going to lose the game at home to Oklahoma. That's my prediction. But I thought the lingo around Auburn was that Hugh Freeze is kind of planting seeds for the future. They're allocating most of their attention and, quite frankly, their NIL funds building and recruiting rather than the portal stuff, starting young and growing it. But you're not going to let that thing play out because Hugh Freeze is really, really down this year. To me, that's a little surprising, and I'm a little bit hesitant to jump into those talks. But if this year is that bad, you got to start raising questions. So, huge game. Very much a crossroads game for OU and Auburn. And, there's a lot of those kind of games this week. I mean, you have obviously Alabama, Georgia, which is really going to determine the who's who in the SEC pecking order. Both teams, if one of them comes out and just doesn't perform versus the other, another top-tier SEC team, I don't even know if those are the 2 best SEC teams right now. They might be. But the loser could lose more games and fall out of the playoff race because Bama has a tough schedule again. Georgia has a hell of a schedule up ahead. That's a big game. Talk about our game. Arkansas and A&M, I think Arkansas is really trying to fight for like that 8-win season. A&M kind of in the same boat, but A&M has a little bit of an easier path ahead, and we still think that the 9-win marker is still very much available if you can beat Arkansas. But if A&M loses to Arkansas, you still have Missouri and LSU and Texas. Missouri and LSU right around the corner. How many games are you really looking at? You're looking at like a 7-8-win season maybe? You could still improve a lot, and maybe that becomes a blip, but the most likely outcome there is if you can't beat Arkansas, you're still struggling, you're still working through finding consistency across the board. It gets a little scary. And for Arkansas, it's a really tough schedule down the road. They still play South Carolina. They play Missouri and LSU as well. They play Texas. They play, I think, Tennessee. If they beat A&M, they could potentially win 4 SEC games and go 500 in the SEC, which would be a great year for Arkansas, considering what they were just going through with Sam Pittman and really set that program off in the right direction. And if they really improve, they do have the pieces to scare teams and could be looking at even more wins than that. So a lot of crossroad games. Kansas State, Oklahoma State's in that same category too. Again, that's not a crossroads game. Is Texas versus Mississippi State. I feel for Mississippi State in that one. It's going to be an execution. They're in a really bad spot. All right, what else? Who else is in here? Oh, I see Chris Cobb in here. Good to see you, man. I see Aggie Man in here. Good to see you. TX427, howdy Drew, howdy chat. I'm nervous about this weekend. It's always a wild game, and I expect another wild one. Chris Cobb says 28-20 Ags, I'll take it. I'll take any win right here at this point. Play to Win says, I wish there was we were at strength day one, no injuries. Yeah. Oh, it's football, man. You know, Arkansas is missing a couple guys in their secondary too. Everyone has injuries at this point, but you know, A&M's starting to stack up. Let's hope it gets a little bit better. Jeremy, good to see you in here. Oklahoma State doesn't look good, so maybe Arkansas isn't as good as we think. Potentially. Oklahoma State, just kind of baffling me. They were a playoff pick for me. I thought they were going to win the Big 12. Their lack of a running game astonishes me. They have a group of men, like fifth-year seniors at O-line, like exclusively older dudes. And they have Ollie Gordon. Yet they cannot establish a run. And they're leaning on their passing game led by Alan Bowman, who's not even that great of a player. So it's just super shocking what's happening with Oklahoma State. That's another topic for another day. Maybe not even on this channel. Rolly, good to see you in here as usual, Rolly. John Peroni, good to see you as usual, man. That Pulse episode was pretty cool. I have to brag. I called it. I said they were not going to show the post-game speech for this episode of the Pulse because I have a feeling Elko was not super happy in that post-game speech. I have a feeling that was a pretty rough post-game look, and he had to say, no cameras for this one. Still a great episode of the Pulse. They really showcased the offensive line, Adam Cushing, and what we've talked about with Adam Cushing is that he's just more of an eye-to-eye, even-keeled, you know, direct approach, tactical approach, as opposed to what Adazio was before, like an old-school, old-fashioned, yelling, you know, grinding kind of a coach. And I think that really showed in some of the clips of the Pulse where you just see him kind of calmly explaining things to players, very much a communication, open line of communication kind of relationship. I really like that. You need to change, and you definitely got it, and it's working so far. Great episode of the Pulse this week. Kirk and Bill Belichick calling the game. Bill's in there? He's going to talk? Interesting. I like that. I like it. Stephen Ryan says, sorry, Aggie fans. This one goes to the Hogs. Arkansas 38-10. Like I was telling you, Arkansas fans are feeling really confident, man. They're feeling it. And we'll see. My man Bryce. Yep, your man Bryce with the sweatpants, right? You got it from his uncle. That's pretty cool. I don't think 38-10 is happening, but you're entitled to your opinion. Maybe you'll get it right. Unbiased Brim, stopping by to show Drew love. This is A&M's best. With that noted, go Hogs. Appreciate it. Some cool Hogs in the comments this year. A couple years back, I was a little bit more trash talky. Now I'm just more into the analysis and into just calling it how it is. And it's fun to really look at teams for what they are without trying to let your biases get in the way. And I see a good team with Arkansas with a lot of exciting pieces. I just think what's held them back is making those mistakes, a little bit of quarterback inaccuracy and some of the intermediate stuff. We'll see what happens in the game. Thanks for stopping by, Brim. I really appreciate it. Auburn is maybe slightly better than Florida. I don't know, man. If I were to give my SEC tier list right now, here's how it would go. We'll start at the bottom. Normally, it's Vandy at the bottom, but Vandy actually has a little bit of a team this year, scaring Missouri last week, beating Virginia Tech. So I'm not even going to put them in either of the bottom two tiers. The bottom tier in the SEC right now, I think, is Mississippi State standing alone, and that's unfortunately off the heels of the passing of the legend that is Mike Leach, the legend of college football, the Pirate. They're in the full swing recovery from that, getting Jeff Lebby, and they didn't get all the transfers that you might get typically in a coach transition. So they have 22 new starters this year without really supplementing from the portal. Mississippi State's in a category of their own at the bottom. Then the next category up, kind of the bottom feeders, I put Florida and Auburn in this category exclusively in that second lowest tier. And it's kind of funny because those are the two teams that Arkansas and A&M feature as their signature wins on the short season so far. But both teams took care of business on the road, so it feels good regardless to get those SEC wins. And they're not on that bottom, abysmal level that Mississippi State's on right now. So there's some respect to both of those wins. That's what makes this game even more intriguing. Then that next tier up, I would put, A&M, Arkansas. I would put teams like South Carolina. I would put teams like Kentucky. That what the hell's going on tier. I always have that tier every year. And this is a temporary tier. They're either going to rise above this tier or go down to that, kind of subpar tier that right now Florida and Auburn occupy. So this is a game that's really going to determine that pecking order, in my opinion. Then above that, you have that mid-tier, that's probably pretty good tier, LSU, Missouri. LSU's kind of fallen apart with injuries. But you have those two teams in there. Who else would you throw in there? Maybe that's just it. And then you have the top tier with, maybe Vandy's in that tier right now. Vandy's probably on the what the hell's going on tier, actually. This is off the cuff right now. Then above that, I would put the top tier with Texas, Tennessee. I'd put Ole Miss in there, Alabama, Georgia. Those teams that at the top. I would also put Oklahoma in that what the hell's going on tier as well. A lot of teams in that tier kind of teetering which direction they might go, and I think Auburn and Oklahoma's in a similar situation this week. Very much these next few weeks are kind of going to determine kind of the pecking order, the haves and have-nots of the league this year, or of the whole country this year, with some more Big Ten stuff heating up in a couple of weeks. You got the Ohio State-Oregon game coming up pretty soon. This will be pretty interesting. But that's kind of how I would see it shakes out, and this is one of those games that kind of determines where people are going to be going, which makes it so huge, and it's going to be a good game. Florida's a better offense than Auburn. Auburn has a better defense. I would definitely agree with that. I'm surprised I thought Freeze would turn them around. Yeah, me too. Good analysis on the last vid. I think it's going to be close and low scoring. Going to go 20-14 Hogs. Very possible. I think it's a little bit higher scoring than that. I think these offenses might find some success because I think as good as Arkansas's defense is trending right now, A&M does have a top 10 run offense right now, and we think we can get more out of the quarterback. And I think A&M's defense is a little bit inconsistent right now, so I do think Arkansas can put up points. But you're right that it's going to be close. I just think it's a little bit higher in that higher upper 20s, low 30s scoring range. Could be wrong. It's just a prediction. We'll see. A&M wins. Think people will start to respect A&M a little bit more. And I was about to talk about what this might mean. I'll do it now. I'll do everything on the fly while we're in the chat right now. So A&M wins this game. Let's say they win. Think about how big that Missouri game becomes, because Missouri's done with their pre-A&M games. They're on a bye week right now. So what Missouri is now is what you're going to get next week. Let's say you have a 4-1 A&M at home versus an undefeated 4-0 Missouri. So much riding on that game. You really have a chance to elevate yourself if you can get through the Hogs, and then you face Missouri. That is such a major opportunity heading into your bye. Then Mississippi State, some opportunity to improve over those few weeks. Then you got the big one at home versus LSU. It really can define this next stretch for A&M. But on the other hand, of that other side of that token, you lose to Arkansas. How you feeling about Missouri? Still probably winnable because Missouri hasn't been great, but you feel like you'll leave some stuff on the table if you lose to Arkansas. So it's a big game considering A&M's future. And yes, the respect factor will skyrocket if you can get through Arkansas right now. Brim says, this is an Arkansas fan, what makes me confident and worried at the same time is we've won with a bunch of mistakes. If we don't make a lot of mistakes, we win this game Saturday. That is definitely your path to victory. It's limiting those mistakes. It's getting the best out of Taylor Green in the passing game, because I think he's going to get his with the legs. That's absolutely their path to victory. And we're hoping that A&M can force some mistakes, because I still feel really good about that defense, specifically Elko's blitz package against an offensive line that is greatly improved for Arkansas, but struggles in communication and blitz pickup because, like A&M's back seven, that Arkansas offensive line is rebuilt from the portal. A lot of new faces in there under a new offensive scheme under Bobby Petrino. So they're struggling in that regard, and I hope A&M can make a mess and make them make more mistakes by way of just showing blitz, showing weird packages. You know what Elko does on third down, that kind of thing. So, yeah, we're trying to bank on forcing Arkansas to continue making mistakes. Arkansas loses, their fan base will go nuts to fire Pittman. With Arkansas' schedule, they have to beat A&M. Yeah, they have to beat A&M. They have to beat South Carolina down the road. Then they have to pull one against Missouri, LSU. They get Texas at home, but Texas is cruising right now. But if Arkansas can build and gain some confidence and momentum going into that game later in the year, who knows? They really want to beat Texas. That'll be one of the craziest environments of the season at Fayetteville when Texas comes to town. Arkansas wins this. They really have a chance to have a really successful season. Brim says his seat is slightly cooled, but we have to win games. No ifs, ands, or buts. Yep. You can't lose close games like the Oklahoma State game and really save your job. You got to go out there and get the W's. Totally agree with that. His seat is definitely cooled with a good start to the year. Aggies will start Reed. Y'all have a chance. If y'all start Wigman, we win, but we know Reed will be starting. Reed's 100% starting. Yeah. If Wigman's 100%, I think he still gives us a good chance, but we haven't seen that. Oh, what else is in here? Cole S. I'm in the StreamYard lobby. All right, Cole, I'll get you in here. Once I get through the chat, we'll just go right into the calls. We'll keep it a short show tonight. Like I said, I'm going to Dallas tonight, so I have to leave pretty quickly. We're going to keep it a short show. Thank you guys for being here. Who else is in here? Kyle in here. Good to see you, Kyle. Play to win says Aggies 31, Razorbacks 24. Nice score prediction. I'm 31-27. I think it's a little closer than that, but I think it's right around that range. Play to win for sure. Jeb thinks it's a little bit lower scoring, 24-20. Be somewhere in this 20-30 range, in my opinion. I trust our DBs against the receivers. Yeah, but Satenya scares me. Luke Haas scares me. They haven't really gotten it going, but the potential of those two guys, if they can find ways to get those guys the ball, and they are not just one-dimensional with Armstrong, that potential scares me. But I like our DBs a lot. I do still like them. They just, inconsistency, man. It's a new group coming together. They got to get it better week on week. Jeremy says 31-17 A&M. Arkansas barely beat Auburn with 5 free turnovers. It's a very fair point. Fair point, 100%. Every team will make mistakes. They're not thinking too much and just playing. Less mistakes will happen. Sure. And it's hard to do that under a new system, which is what we're seeing for A&M. I thought the word I used for A&M in that back 7 last week against Bowling Green, who really tested it with eye candy and a bunch of trick plays, is processing speed. That's just slower under a new system with a bunch of new players. We don't play South Carolina, Drew. There's another manageable opponent. Is it Mississippi State y'all play? That's probably who I meant. You have one more manageable team after A&M, and I think it's Mississippi State. Must be Mississippi State. Arkansas has to play Tennessee, not South Carolina. That's who it is. It's Tennessee, and then it's Mississippi State, right? I think it's Mississippi State who I was thinking in place of South Carolina. There was one more manageable game left on the schedule, which is why beating A&M gets them to 2-0 in conference play. Then they could probably pull that one versus Mississippi State. Then they got to get one against one of the better teams. Yeah, it's Mississippi State, says Kyle. Yeah, that was my mistake. I've been saying South Carolina. It's Mississippi State. Wrong, reddish, maroonish team. Yep. That's right. So that's why the A&M game is so key to Arkansas. We know Wigman probably won't return until after the bye. Yeah, I'm feeling like that's definitely the case at this point. I listened to the teleconference again today, and Connor's just taking reps on the side. He's not even practicing. So I think Wigman is the kind of player that would need a few days of practice before playing for sure, full go practice. If you see that, that's when you know he has a chance to play. Who is A&M's playmaker? Right now, it's been the running backs. It's been Cyrus Allen, but he didn't do anything in the last game. We're hoping to see more out of this receiver room, man. Terry Bussey, Noah Thomas. I like our receivers, man. You got some playmakers out there just not getting them the ball in space. It's just not been happening. It's kind of like what's going on with Arkansas, except we don't have an Andrew Armstrong right now. We don't have a guy that's been, taking that share of the playmaking stuff. It's kind of been spread out, but no one's been targeted or really targeted enough. No one's really gotten the ball enough. And we think that'll come as the offense gets more comfortable under a new scheme, as you start settling a new quarterback in. But so far, it's been the running backs. You have a top 5 SEC running back. A&M's top 8 in rushing total in the country right now. It's really been the running game and Marcel Reed's legs lately, the last few games. All right, just a few more to go through, and then we'll get into the callers right away, and we'll call it a short show. Anybody else wants to call in, give your score prediction. The call-in link is pinned in the chat. Phone lines are open. Click that. Give me your score prediction for a chance to enter the Hall of Fame. You can give me keys to the game as well. You'll be rocking the black jersey at this game? Hell yeah, man. It's a nice-looking thing. Both these teams have those issues of thinking a lot with the new scheme. Absolutely. Yep, y'all are saying it's Mississippi State. Yep. That was the one I got mixed up. Our O-line got their handful because of injuries. As long as they stay healthy this game, they have the pieces to get through a game. But if you start stacking them now, then you're going to run into trouble. But right now, I'm confident with the O-line pieces you have. How many do each quarterbacks need to throw/run to win? That's a tough question. I'm saying A&M needs to get about 15 play actions off in this game because they've been kind of ramping that up, and play action is a staple of Colin Klein's offense because he's such a run-heavy scheme. Everything stems from the run. I need to see 15 play actions from A&M. I think Arkansas needs to take their deep shots because A&M, missed on a few of those last week and got busted on a few of those last week. So Arkansas takes several deep shots this game, but both teams lean on their running attack. So quarterback runs, I don't know. What is Taylon Green averaging a game? He's averaging like 4 scrambles a game because he has 16 scrambles on the year. So 4 or 5 quarterback scrambles from Taylon Green. We'll go the same for Marcel Reed, effective scrambles. And then several quarterback design runs. Hard to put a number on that right now. If Arkansas wears the white helmets, you can chalk it up as an Aggies win. I've heard that Arkansas has not been doing too well in the white unis. Interesting. Thor looking for another tutty? I hope so, man. He needs to get targeted. Chris says, second week in a row we get to play against a team that's a freshman quarterback that has 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. I hope that we have similar results as last week. Yeah, I'm hoping Marcel Reed is indeed better than Hank Brown. Really very much banking on that. So I hope that doesn't happen. All right, guys. I'm going to keep it short for you, Drew, so you can be on your way. No studio time. All right, yeah, no worries. All right, guys, let's get right into the callers. Like I said, it's going to be a short show tonight. Theo, you're on with Drew. How you feeling tonight, my friend? You got some keys to the game and a score prediction for me?
Sure. Defensively, our defense line has to dominate this game. They have to get in the backfield. They got to force this team into third and long situations where Taylor Green's legs can be taken out of the situation, and our DBs can play the pass at the sticks instead of struggling, trying to keep up with all the motions and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, Offensively, um, just mixed up a little bit more. Um, Instead of running it so much on first down and second down, throw in a few more play actions, throw in a few more plays in general that are passes that are quick hitters, possibly. Get our guys out in space, throw a little bit more bubble screens in there, just something to offset the tendencies of what our offense has done so far.
Yeah.
Um,
Now's the time to do it, right? You're getting into conference play. You've gotten some of those early lumps of learning through a new system out of the way. They've had weeks to install. It seems like now's the time that things will start to open up a little bit, and we really hope to see some success there.
I agree. I don't want us to get away from what our bread and butter is or has been in terms of the run game.
Right.
The run game absolutely has to play a part in it, but just throw the timing off a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like we were too predictable against Bowling Green, and Bowling Green had a pretty good idea of what we were going to do on first and second down. Ran a lot of run stunts on first and second down, and was able to confuse our offensive line to a degree. So um, I just mixed up a little bit, make it a little bit less informative.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like I said, it's the time to do it right now. And Arkansas doesn't have a good defense, man. And if that secondary continues to improve, they might have a complete defense. They also need to get a little bit, a level up in the pass rush department. Only had 6 hurries versus Auburn, though they did have 2 sacks. A&M could say the same thing. The D line for A&M, as Elko mentioned in his presser last night, has largely been dictating games and forcing game plans to be melded around that defensive line. However, within that, they still could be getting some more pressure. And I think we started to see that over, especially versus Bowling Green, a little bit in Florida. I think they've been steadily progressing as they're kind of adjusting to what offenses are doing to them. So we need to see them make a mess. Yes, I agree. It need a little bit more of a diverse offensive attack. Got some playmakers out there that really need to get involved. And I totally agree with you, man. Those are some good keys to the game. Now, chance to enter the Hall of Fame. Theo, you want to throw a score prediction out there?
Give me 35-25. Something weird's going to happen where it's going to be a really weird score. But give me 35-25 Ags.
All right. All right, man.
And one thing I wanted to add to that whole offensive thing, when the plays are there, we got to make the plays. We can't drop balls. We can't we can't miss the throws. We can't miss the reads. When they're there and they're designed to be there, we absolutely got to hit on them.
100%. That's what we didn't do versus Bowling Green.
And it's what we didn't do versus Notre Dame either.
True.
And those are what it struggled us. And so we got to continue to try to be effective. And when the play's there, we got to hit the play. We got to make that play.
100%, man. 100%. All right, Theo. I agree with everything you're saying pretty much. Any closing thoughts going into this game? I mean, are you going to be nervous? Are you just going to take it for what it is? How are you feeling overall?
I'm always nervous. It's A&M. But this season, I'm really taking it for what it is and just enjoying the growth of the team game by game, enjoying the aspect of what's happening in the game, and just try to enjoy the moment for this season. Now I might get a little bit more hyped next season going into year 2 or whatever, but
right.
It's really just about learning what this administration is going to be like.
Yeah,
so to say.
100%. Well, all right, Theo. We'll see what happens next time we talk. We'll have a lot more clarity about this team and maybe what they might be over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be exciting. I'll talk to you on the other side, man. You have a great weekend. Enjoy the game.
You too. Hit the likes and shares, guys.
Thanks, Theo. Yeah, guys, if you get the likes up, that'd be great. Appreciate that, Theo. Check in with the chat real quick. We have Cold and we have Noble Guy. Hopefully get some more score predictions. Kyle says, I think Green has 230 rushing after 3.5 games. He actually has more than that. He has 325 yards rushing. And I did the numbers because I just did the preview video. And 200 of those yards are coming off of scrambles. And the crazy thing about his scrambles is 15 out of his 16 quarterback scrambles, which is obviously just improvisation, have gone for 10-plus yards. So he's making a huge difference every time he decides to tuck the ball and run. So got to limit that. It's a really, really big deal, obviously. Y'all got to watch out for the Metcalf boys. Yeah, what's his name? TJ Metcalf, SEC Defensive Player of the Week after 2 interceptions. But his best play of the game was that forced fumble. That was a game-changing play. I mean, ball carrier is about to score a touchdown, and you not only prevent that, but you get the ball back on a last-ditch strip. Impressive stuff. Yeah, we're going to keep an eye on that guy for sure. David, good to see you in here. Any notable from the injury reports? TJ Shanahan out, Bryce Anderson probable, Shamar Stewart not on the report. That's the gist of it. But I listened to Mike Elko's teleconference. Apparently, TJ Shanahan shouldn't be a long-term thing. He says he'll be reevaluated next week. Hopefully, that means he'll be back soon because you're getting a little thin at the O-line. As of right now, O-line should be good as is, but you drop a body, that's when things get scary. Noble Guy, I see you in there, man. All right, guys, we'll get to the next call. Cole, you're on with Drew. What's on your mind tonight, my friend? How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. So the keys of the game, I'm thinking, is pretty obvious for our defense to contain Arkansas's rushing attack. Because, I mean, they're with Green and Jaquindon Jackson, I'm pretty sure his name is. I mean, they're pretty dynamic. I think with our D-line, we just got to – they're going to get runs off, but we got to limit those explosive plays that have kind of come back to bite us, especially in like the Notre Dame and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think Taylor Green has shown that if you get pressure on him, he's going to turn the ball over. And I think our D-line can get home this game because they've given up 3 sacks every game except Arkansas Pine Bluff, which is basically a high school scrimmage.
Yeah.
And for offense, the big thing I'm thinking, kind of talking towards Taylor Green turning the ball over, is us playing turnover-free football. Because I think Arkansas is going to give you at least 1 turnover,
right? Maybe
2, especially with the pressure we're going to get on them with the D-line. And another thing is Klein. I think the Bowling Green, I think the game plan was a little vanilla. I don't know if that was just they thought they could not put a lot on tape and kind of just come in and go vanilla and beat them. But I think he needs to open up the playbook a little bit more, kind of like what we saw versus Florida.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to be able to run for 300-plus like we did versus Florida because Arkansas is – I mean, so far they've shown they're pretty solid against the run.
Yep.
But they are kind of weak against the pass. So I think this is a good week for our receivers to kind of – I don't want to say break out, but get open and get separation and kind of have a good game because that's been kind of disappointing for me is the amount of separation and just the receiving and the passing game period for the offense. But I think this is a game they could really get some confidence back and kind of show what we can do because, I mean, it's kind of been shown the game plan versus us right now is kind of stack the box and force us to beat you through the air.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the keys I'm thinking. I mean, I think we'll be able to run the ball versus Arkansas. It's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a really good meter to see how good we really are running the ball versus quality teams.
100%.
But I mean, if we win the turnover battle, I got a really good. If we win the turnover battle, I got a really good feeling that we'll come away with the win.
Yeah, I agree. And in giving my final score prediction on this game, which was 31-27 Aggies, the major factor in me picking A&M is the fact that A&M has been, knocking on wood, clean in the turnover margin over the last 3 games outside of Wigman's 2 picks versus Notre Dame. And Arkansas has been turning the ball over a bit. Taylor Green with 5 fumbles, 4 interceptions. For the 4 interceptions over the last 3 games, 2 versus Auburn. But you mentioned the importance of the D-line against that rushing attack. And what they're going to do is a lot of zone read with Taylor Green. And that really falls on the DNs to make good decisions and really just kind of maintaining their discipline and their balance in navigating that. But also in generating pressure with that D-line. They have to generate pressure, but they also have to be careful. They have to be disciplined because if they get erratic or they get out of their lanes or they don't retain their integrity and their gaps, he's just going to scramble. So if
Yep.
you over pursue and you just pin your ears back and go crazy and you don't think about what you're doing, he can make you pay there. So yeah, man, I agree with your analysis. And as far as getting that passing game going, yeah, I think you got to test that secondary out. They're feeling good after that game versus Auburn, where they had 5 or 4 interceptions and the secondary forced the turnover. I think they're really good at safeties, but they are missing a couple of key guys out there. So I'm really looking at A&M to test that and really get Marcel Reed dialed in. Just kind of progress through your reads a little bit better, make a little bit better decisions when to tuck and run, when to trust your teammates and trust your receivers, get the ball out there. Opportunity to do that. You got to do it. You got a score prediction for me?
I honestly didn't see your score prediction. I had 31-27 down, but I don't know if I can go with the same one you have.
I'll give it to you because we've done it before, but if you want to switch it up, you can, but I'll give it to you because I allowed that last week or a couple weeks ago. So you can go with that if that was truly your prediction.
I think I'm going to go, just to be different, 28-24.
All right.
Tags.
Yep.
But I think it'll be a close one, just like seems like every game in this matchup is, no matter how good we are or the difference is. But I'm looking forward to it. Always nervous, but hopefully the Ags pull it out, because if we do, 4-1 heading into Missouri, I think you got a lot in front of you.
Yeah, you take that. And in my preseason videos and analysis, I thought that was like a likely scenario that we would feel good about. If you could go 4-1 into Missouri, I think that Missouri becomes the hinge point kind of the year where you're going to go, but you got to get the Arkansas win. It's so critical at this point. So big game, huge for the season-long implications. Any closing thoughts, Cole?
I hope Marcel builds on what he's doing. He had a little growing pains, I think, versus Bowling Green, but I feel like it's going to be similar to the Florida game, and he's going to be a gamer, and he's going to show what he can do, especially with his legs and arm, and we're going to come out with a W.
Let's go. Let's get it. All right, Cole, I appreciate the call, man. Hope to hear from you in the future.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye. All right. Good call. Good call. We have Noble Guy, and then we have Unbiased Brim waiting. He's another Hog fan. We'll get him on. Let's check in with the chat real quick. I only have about 15 or so minutes left, so we'll have to get out of here pretty quickly. There was something here I wanted to address. Yes, Franz, you're right. 61 was the backup. He went down. Then Shanahan became the backup, and then Shanahan started playing. They left Shanahan in while 61 was mending. Shanahan goes down, 61's back in. So I'm confident with what you have right now, maybe including Dewberry too, although he'll need a good test to really get the statement hammered in. I think you're solid with your pieces right now, but you're an injury away from being in that scary zone. You know what I mean? Like, you're one away because you're 2 centers down right now. TJ was the backup interior guy for all 3 interior spots. So you're about an injury away, but we'll have to see. All right. Let's just get right into the next calls. I see some Hog fans in here. Good to see y'all. Cole, thanks for having me on. No problem, man. Call in anytime. Noble Guy, you're on with Drew. How you feeling today, my friend?
Hey, was kind of down. I don't know if down's the right way. I wasn't that down, to be honest, early in the week. But I was going to ask you, like, what's the vibe? I kind of came in late, so I'll go opposite of everyone else as far as, like, how they're feeling.
Yeah.
Is everyone nervous? See, I got some nervous energy from the last couple of calls.
Yeah. So I opened the show with saying, here's my feeling towards the game right now. I'm nervous. That's literally what I said because, yeah, I'm nervous. Okay. Arkansas can make you pay. A&M's back 7, a place that Arkansas can definitely exploit with what they do well, has been inconsistent. And so, it's the kind of team that can beat A&M right now where A&M is on their trajectory on the year. Even though you look at A&M as the more talented team, Arkansas is doing some good things right now. So very nervous. The game, to me, is still very much in the air. I'm leaning A&M, but, it's a game I'll be holding my breath the whole time for.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was going to tell everyone, I think A&M fans, we need to just be paired every single week to be nervous because there is not a single – we do not have enough there's not enough on this team to pull away from anyone, especially with our style of play, unless we see anything. Now, I think the difference is where we can be optimistic. Well, first, I'll say we'll keep it real. Everything we've seen on tape, Arkansas looks like the team that can match us and beat us. Everything we've seen on tape. Yeah. Now, and here's the thing. I think Arkansas has found who they are a lot faster than A&M has, which is to be expected in a year 1 coach. That being said, here's the reasons to get optimistic, y'all. We, by all accounts, we have not seen the full playbook yet from Colin Klein. And I think we're going to see it this week. There's no reason to hold it back anymore. If we don't see it this week, it's not coming out at all, quite frankly, I think. maybe an overstatement, but I think that's the case. And furthermore, like I think I don't think Elko is going to allow his team to play 2 bad weeks in a row. 2 bad. Like, we didn't play well. We didn't we didn't play well enough to win, but we didn't lose last week, or to deserve to win, I should say.
Right.
You win if we won. That's all that matters, and you get to learn, and adjust to that. As far as keys to the game, I think, and I think I heard some of your previous callers say it. It's pretty obvious now. We got to stop the run. We got to let the secondary. We're gonna have to trust the secondary is gonna have a great game. And I think they will. I think you're not gonna have 2 bad appearances from the secondary 2 weeks in a row. If quite frankly, if they do, then that's very concerning for the rest of the season, because then we would have seen essentially 10 quarters, because the second half against Florida wasn't great. And then that's a whole nother thing. But I don't think it's going to be that bad. I think they were sleepwalking last week, and we're not good enough to sleepwalk against anybody.
Absolutely.
I think turnovers. I think turnovers are going to be deciding, and that's why I think A&M ultimately wins this game, because A&M has done great outside of the 2 picks that Connor threw week 1. I don't think we haven't thrown any no turnovers, right?
The Le'Veon Moss fumble at the end of last game.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, let that be okay. So one, okay,
but I'm not worried about that. Moss has a body of work not fumbling.
We're plusing the turnover.
Yeah.
Turnover tables, and Arkansas is very much like living off turnovers and getting lucky off of that. You can't sustain game plans with turnovers and mixed into it. I think I'm curious to see how much man versus zone we're going to run on defense. Because running man has the risk of leaving Taylor Green, everyone turning their backs to him and letting him run.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be huge for our guys to play contain. But
communicate well.
Sorry, what?
If they're in zone, I mean, communication is going to be so huge, because, I mean, there was some recognition stuff and communication stuff that was off with that back 7 last week, and that has to get cleaned up this week. And I kind of agree with you about Elko not letting that happen twice, but we got to see it.
Yeah. No. Everything, again, based off everything we see on tape, Arkansas can win and, quite frankly, should win this game, because they're further ahead of us in progress. Now, this is where this is very difficult, because, this is where we start speculating and just hoping really about what's next, because this team is going to take a next step. It's about when is it going to take a next step, and then we're going to get a dub while we do it. I think we unleashed the passing attack, which everyone has been saying we've been holding back. They're going to stack the box against. Great. Well, we're going to whip out like the play actions, like we know Colin Kine likes to do and can do. And then it's going to be a tight game, but I think a turnover is what seals the deal for A&M.
Yeah, man. I think you're right. Like I said, the key to the deciding factor to me in this game was just looking at the mistakes Arkansas has made and the lack of the critical mistakes that A&M has made. Of course, you've had some busts defensively, but you're not really turning the ball over. They've cleaned up the penalties the last couple of games. That's been good, and I'm banking on that. I still think A&M has an advantage on both sides of the ball in the trenches, but back 7 versus their weapons is really the scary matchup. And then Marcel Reed against their back 7 that feels really good after their performance versus Auburn. That's a dynamic we're definitely going to be watching too. Like, is that going to stick? Is that here to stay? Was that just by way of a bad Auburn quarterback situation? We'll really have to find that all out. But yeah, good stuff, Noble Guy. Now you have to give me a score prediction. You're already on the Hall of Fame. You can get on there twice if you get it right again.
We're going 27-23. I think. Oh well, and this relates to obviously the key component of the game. Is A&M's tendency is to give up big plays, and I don't think it's going to get cleaned up. I think that's going to be just something we live with. They're going to nickel and dime us until they eventually get one over the top. But the key is to not allow those to go into touchdowns, because if you can go 50 yards on us again in the red zone, but we hold you to a field goal and we take it and we score 7, then we'll take that.
Yeah,
we'll
100%.
So I think we limited them to field goals. They're going to have, and then get the turnovers. I think that if you can do those 2 things, you can win this game. Those 2 things alone.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right, Noble. Hey, you want to plug that tailgate you got going on?
Yes. Okay, A&M Arkansas fans. This goes for all y'all. We have a neutral site going on, a tailgate between Texas Live and AT&T. It's my buddy's business. He's trying to do a marketing thing out of it. So come through, come say hi. Drew's going to make a special guest appearance, maybe. We're working the NIL deal out right now.
Yeah, we're working the dollar signs out real quick. We might make it.
Dollar sign.
Yeah.
I can't afford.
Right. Singular.
Single sign. Okay. All right. Yeah. So come on through. I guess if you can message me on my Twitter or through ask Drew. Honestly, he can get you the details. I'm going to feed him all the details on that. So hit him up, and then I'll get the details to him, and he get them to you.
All right. Good stuff, Noble. I'll talk to you after the game or before the game, but then next time we talk live, it's going to be after we see what happens. So I'll see you on the other side, my friend. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the weekend.
You too. Can't wait to see y'all this weekend.
Absolutely. Later, Noble.
Bye.
All right. We got one caller left, and I got to go because I'm going to Dallas tonight. Let's get right into it. Unbiased Brim, you're on with Drew. Man, I'm glad you found the channel. I'm always welcoming the opposing teams in here, especially when they're reasonable and rational like yourself. It's been a good time chopping it up with you. How you feeling tonight, man?
I am not too shabby. I'm about to get ready to go to work myself. So you're getting ready to travel to Dallas. I'm getting ready to go to work. But first and foremost, I think I remember seeing your content from last year. But I'll tell you this much. You're very fair-minded, reasonable. And whenever you see any opposing fan base that has that type of energy, you're going to gravitate towards it. And, because even though we're against each other at the end of the day, it's just football. We love our teams. We want to see our guys win, right?
100%.
So everybody's made some phenomenal points here. One of the things about Arkansas is that, we have been a little bit turnover prone. We've had some issues throwing the football, but we've been very strong running the football. One thing about our running game is we've created the most missed tackles out of any team in the entire country at this moment right now. We're tied for second most touchdown runs. So the running game is going to be paramount for Texas A&M to stop from us and vice versa. So there's going to be a lot of moments where the arms of both our quarterbacks may be the determining factor.
Yeah.
I've seen Reed. He's solid. He's a good player. But this is his pressure cooker moment.
Yeah, for sure.
The moment, is he going to handle that moment? That's one of the questions. You can probably answer that question better than anyone, or definitely better than me. And my question to you is, how good is the offensive line? Because one of the things about our D-line is we're pretty stout with the run, but we have some deficiencies, and y'all pointed it out in regards to the pass rush.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, O-line has probably been the strength of the offense so far. And we didn't expect that going into the year because they've been bad the last 3 years. If you've been following A&M, we've had O-line problems for a while now. And we get this new coach, Adam Cushing, kind of the same players, add a couple guys in the portal. But it's really been shockingly good. A&M right now is 8th in total rushing yards, and they use a pretty deep running back room. They dig into the stable. They'll go like 3-4 carries at a time, then they'll shuffle through guys. So right now, Le'Veon Moss, the lead guy, he's like 4th or 5th in the SEC rushing. But yeah, he's a good player. He reminds me a little bit of Jaquindon. Jaquindon's good, man. I mean, here's what I'll say about the stop in the running game. If you notice in all of my breakdowns for this, I've never anticipated or thought that A&M will totally shut down Arkansas's running game because it's a good running game. That's what y'all are built on. What I want to see is shutting down explosives, because if we can take some chunks at times, let it kind of bend, don't break. But if we're giving up chunks and Taylon Green's an open field where he's just a magician, that's where we're in problems. That's where we're having problems. So I'm okay with giving up 3, 4, 5 here and there, but we got to limit those explosives.
No chunk yardage. And this is where the dynamics between this game for both of our fan bases to see. So Arkansas is prone for turnovers, and turnover battle is a large part of who wins the game. So that puts A&M in a little bit of a positive position, knowing that, because you guys are pretty secure with the football.
Yep.
But on the same token, when it comes to big play spurtability, you guys struggle with that.
Yep.
And that's one of our biggest strong suits. So if Taylon Green plays within the game, if he's able not to be predictable, and the issues that you guys have on the back half of the secondary, if that comes into play and Taylon Green plays well and doesn't stare down his receivers, those big plays will be there. And the weird little thing that I have, a reason why I have my opinion that I have, because us Hog fans, we go through PTSD all the time because we've had some rough moments.
Right.
But Taylor Green is playing for Texas in the first time I think in his college career.
Oh, wow.
That's in front of his friends and family. He's from Texas. I expect Taylor Green to play lights out and have the career game because of those circumstances. Because Taylor Green is streaky. You never know what you're going to get. He's like a box of chocolates. But I just got a weird feeling he's going to go off today. But Reed is going to play a good game. It might be a high-scoring game. It might be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, and I have it a little bit higher than most, around the 30-point margin. But yeah, man, and I think I read that Armstrong, Jackson, and Green are all from DFW area. That's kind of crazy. It's like a big homecoming for that offense. I read that. I don't know if that's right or not, but man, I couldn't agree more.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're right. They're all from, and see, I think these young men, the energy that I'm getting from these young men is an energy that I did not see last year.
I've heard
as
this.
much as we loved KJ as a quarterback, he lost the team. It seems like the energy wasn't the same. These guys are playing for each other. I mean, we know that no matter who A&M puts on that field, it's going to be a game. And we've been finding ways to lose games for years. And the one thing that us as Hog fans want is that mentality that even when things are tough, you still pull out victories. Last week was a testament to that. I heard somebody say, "Oh, you got lucky, you got 5 turnovers." Those weren't lucky turnovers. Those were turnovers created by being in the right positions, making the right plays. So there's nothing luck about that. You create your luck by how you act when you're in the heat of battle. So I really look forward to this game. I'm not nervous. I'm just ready for the game. I feel like if Taylor Green is nervous, then we might lose this game. But if he comes in calm, collective, plays his game, and he might make some mistakes, but if he sticks with his game and executes, I think we can pull out this victory. But unfortunately, we know our history with A&M, so we get to find out Saturday.
Yeah, we'll find out. And you know what? Bobby Petrino, he started this series off on Arkansas side of the field with 3 straight wins over A&M, and I'm sure he wants to close it out on top as well. But yeah, man, it's a game of mistakes. It's a game of big plays. I think those are the 2 key areas in this game. You nailed it on the head. Do you want to hit me with a score prediction? Because I'll put a Hog fan on the Hall of Fame. I'm not opposed to it. If you get it right, I'll honor it.
If I make the Hall of Fame, I'll do a backflip without doing one because I'm a little old now.
All right,
so I'm going 38-27 Hogs because I feel like Taylor Green is going to have a career game, and I feel a little more confident in Taylor Green's big playability. If you guys slow down the run, then it comes down for Reed if we slow down your run.
I think that's fair. Man. Well, we shall see, man. I hope we get to chop it up after we see the game. We'll be honest about what we saw, and we'll reflect on it.
Absolutely.
It'll be a fun time, man. I really appreciate you calling it. It's always good to get perspective from the other side. And like you said, man, we're rivals. We're in opposition. But at the end of the day, we're both doing the same thing here, man. We're both passionate for our team. We're doing the same thing just on the other side of things. So we have that in common, man. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you having me, Drew. I wish I could have had SEC Mo on. That's who I wanted, but I knew he wasn't making it home for at least 30, 40 minutes. So I said, you know what? I'm going to come on and kind of represent my fellow Hog brethren. So I appreciate you, Drew, and I look forward to talking to you after the game, and safe travels to Dallas.
All righty, man. You have a good one. Appreciate you.
You
Later.
too, Sam. Bye-bye.
All right, that was awesome, man. Good to get them all. Good to get them all in here. We got Aggies and Hogs in here. We got them. We're going to be honest. If he gets it right, he's in the Hall of Fame. That's the risk we run here. But that's all right. All right, guys, let's just say goodbye to everybody. I do have to get out of here because I'm heading to Dallas tonight. Aggies are going to stick it to Petrino. We got an Irish fan back in here. Good to see you in here. Y'all are looking a lot better now after, obviously week 2. But things have looked a lot better for y'all. Aggies are going to stick it to Petrino. 32-17 Aggie win. I hope so. Good Hog caller. Yeah, Hank Brown is bad, but he's right that you have to be in position to get the interceptions. You have to be playing your defense, your brand of football. You have to be in the position to make them. I will say some were bad balls, but some of them they really forced, especially that strip by Metcalf, who is a real player. But all right, guys, I'm going to get out of here early tonight. It was good to talk to you guys, and next time we'll be talking, we'll have the results, and that's always exciting and terrifying. But y'all check out that tailgate that Noble Guy's buddy is throwing. I'll be there. Y'all come by and say what's up. You see me at the game, come give me a fist bump. Give them Aggies. Beat the hell out of the Hogs. Oh, and by the way, Rolly, thank you so much for the $10 donation. A beer on me at Jerry World Saturday, 30 to 24 Aggies. I will indeed have a beer in your honor, Rolly. Appreciate the support as always. Y'all have a great night. Safe travels if you're going to the game. And gig 'em.